Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here. Hopefully, your favorite official content creator for the First Descendant. And today, what I'm going to do is just like yesterday's video where I talked about skill power, today we're going to talk about skill power modifiers, okay? This is a supplement to yesterday's video. I know yesterday's video was very long. This one should be shorter. Should, in theory, be shorter. But what I want to teach you guys about is skill power modifiers and how they work differently to skill power. Yesterday's video showed you that skill power is all multiplicative. So you need to have as many multiplicative factors as possible. Skill power modifier does not work in this way. Okay, it does not work in this way. No, no, no. There is a lot of misinformation flying left and right, but don't worry. As always, I have the math and the transparency to show you guys exactly how it works. Okay? I did a lot of nerding off screen, so you guys will get a chance to see the nerd sheet. Okay? We'll go through the nerd sheet shortly. But anyway, let me open with a little bit of a briefing. First, I need to teach you guys about this, okay? So when it comes to skill power modifier, now we're going to use the same basic build. So we've got power increase, toxic amp. We're going to hold this consistent. The only thing we've changed is that we're using a Slayer set. This is because I was also testing some other stuff. So we're going to use the Slayer set here, okay? And, excuse me, last but not least, we will also have the focus on tech. So the first test is going to be with focus on tech. Take note that focus on tech, what it does is that it increases your tech skill power modifier by 68.2%. But this will not be reflected here. See, even if I take this mod off, the only thing that changes is the cooldown. All right. Right now it says 63 seconds. Okay. Let's say focus on tick. Right. And it ends up, the cooldown goes from 110 seconds down to 103 seconds. Okay. So this is how the cooldown is modified. But take note that the skill power does not modify in the mini window. However, down here, and this is why a lot of people get confused, tech skill modifier is shown here with a times symbol, all right? So many people believe that it is multiplicative, but it is not. And I can prove it with mathematics, all right? Now, we already know what the enemy resistance is. If you recall from the spreadsheet from yesterday, the enemy resistance, if we use Legion of Darkness, is 43.56%. That means whatever the dummy variable, the dummy final variable is here, 43.56% is the actual damage dealt. And you know that this has been consistent throughout yesterday's video, and we have managed to showcase that. So we're going to apply the same logic here. Let me remove my cam for a second. All right, let me remove my cam for a second so this will be a little bit easier to communicate. There we go. And let's go through things step by step so you can see everything that I'm seeing and get a picture of how we're doing it, okay? So first and foremost, with just these modules in the loadout, power increase, toxic amplification, focus on tech, all right, a full Slayer set, okay? Here are my stats. So I want you to compare this between this and my spreadsheet. So skill power, right up there, 16,414, okay? We now have a base skill power boost ratio of 0.911. Okay, so we put that in here. Base skill power boost, 1.911. As you know, we add the 1 there, right? This is for the power increase column, so please pay attention there. In fact, let me just highlight that. So this is the column that we're focusing on, okay? Now, the next thing is the toxic skill power boost. Here, 0.936, okay? Over here, 1.936, keeping consistent with what we were doing in yesterday's video. Then for the tech skill power boost, we've got 0.2, and then here we have 1.2. Okay, so this basically goes to show that everything is consistent. Everything that I put in my spreadsheet, which I had already tested, is consistent. We then multiply that out and get the dummy variable. For those that have forgotten how we get the dummy variable, we take skill power base multiplied by boost, boost, boost. Okay, so that's the formula here. I will do just one quick proof so that those who may not have checked out the previous video or who may not know can get the proof. So this multiplied by this gets you this number. This number multiplied by this gets you this number. This number, okay, multiplied by the last one gets you this number, okay? As you can see, the numbers are exactly the same. Now, if we were to take this minus this, is there any difference at all? Zero difference, which means that these two numbers are exactly the same. That is how we get the dummy variable. Okay, we're just multiplying all of these out. So you can simplify the formula in Excel. Skill power multiplied by this, you multiply them all together, and voila, you get the same answer. Now, skill power modifier. How do we achieve this number? Okay, this is where we can prove that the whole thing is just additive. Okay, so although there is a multiplication symbol here, which I admit is very confusing, 0.682 times, right? You've seen the multiplicative symbols here, so you might be thinking, ah, another multiplier. But no, the answer is wrong. How do we know? It doesn't show the change here, right? Okay, let me prove it to you in one quick step. Okay, skill power multiplied by 768.9, right? If this is additive, then you have to add 68.2 to the 768.9, right? That is how an additive factor works. So coming back here, let's look at the formula that I input here. I put in 768.9%. Okay, so we can rewrite that right now. 768.9% plus, okay, 68.2%. Okay, so we can just do that, and you will get 837.1%. Okay, now let's go do the actual damage test. Based on these calculations, assuming that my calculation of skill power modifier is correct, meaning we just add the two numbers together, my actual damage with power increase in all these modules should be 265,729. Let's go see whether or not that's actually the case in the game. So, do we get, all right, once again, the modules, power increase, toxic amp, focus on tech, nothing else, Slayer set. Yeah? Okay, let's see what my damage is. Lo and behold, 265,729, 265,729, 265,729. Let's go see if that's accurate. Lo and behold, 265,729. So we calculated that number, and we can see that the actual number matches, which means that mathematically speaking, we have proven it is not multiplicative. So although it is not even listed in the window, which I believe is stupid, since the dev should just say, this is not a multiplicative factor, why wouldn't you just list it in the window as an increase? Duh, right? The answer is clear. The math is proven. The math is there. You're literally seeing the results with your own two eyeballs. So you know for a fact that the actual damage is 265,729. Okay? And this works across the board, whether you use Toxic Specialist, Maximize Skill. I can demonstrate right now, all right? Let's check the Maximize Skill number, okay? I'm gonna do this once across the board because like I said, I already worked all of this out, all right? And tested all of these. So I wanna make this video a little bit shorter than yesterday's video. Okay. Okay, now that we've added Maximize Skill into the video, into the build, all right? Let's go see whether or not it is actually accurate. Okay, here we go. 297,155, 297,155, 297,155. There you go, right? Is that accurate though? 297,155. So for Maximize Skill, we know it's accurate. Now let's check Toxic Specialist so that we know that Toxic Specialist will be just as accurate, okay? So like I said, all this pre-filled numbers, I just want to prove that these are legit numbers that I worked on and that these results are fully accurate. 248,888. 248,888. Okay? There you go. Does that match the actual result? Yes, it does. 248,888. Okay? So you can see that focus on tech is non-multiplicative. Now, I actually checked the numbers for Technician, which you can see here. And Technician actually did worse than focus on tech because it wasn't a separate multiplier. So the actual damage for focus on tech was 265, but for the same modules and the same equipment with Technician, 260. So it is actually a lot. It is lower by about 5,000. Maximize Skill was lower by about 7,000, and Toxic Specialist was lower by about 5,000 as well. Okay, then here's what I did. I checked whether or not Focus on Tech and Tech Amp, all right, as well as Focus on Tech and Technician would multiply together. Surprisingly, the answer is no, all right? They do not multiply together. Let's do this one together. I want to showcase this test in full. Okay, so we're gonna copy and paste a new set of information here. Okay, we're gonna totally remove the Skill Power Modifier. For the time being, we're just gonna put 100%. All right, we will adjust this shortly, so don't worry. Okay. Oop, 100%, lol. Okay, we're gonna change this. The rest of these factors will not change. This is with, okay, Technician and Focus on Tech. Now, if Technician and Focus on Tech have any multiplicative factor, guess what? I've already done up here Focus on Tech with Tech Amp. All right, let me move my cam there so you can see better. Okay, 1 second. Cam. Okay, Focus on Tech with Tech Amp. The result is actual damage 285 for power increase. We'll now have to check how much is the actual damage here if we use Technician with Focus on Tech. So we're going to actually put that in. Let's do it. Okay. Now, we have just Focus on Tech in here. We will now start with power increase. Okay. Then we'll put in Technician, like so. Oops, sorry. Technician and Tech Amp. Sorry, incorrect. Wrong modifier, because Focus on Tech and Technician are in the same group. My apologies. Okay. Tech Amplification, Technician, separate groups. Toxic Amplification, Power Increase, separate groups. Okay? So this is the test. Let me just make sure the wording is correct. Whoopsie, whoopsie, whoopsie. Technician with Tech Amp. Okay, this wording should be correct. I'm just going to double check. Yes, okay, good. So, we now can guesstimate the Skill Power Modifier. How do we do that? Well, it's very simple. This will now show, Technician will show here in the mini window. So we put 819.7. So let's do exactly that right now. Okay. 819.7%. Yeah. Then we're just going to add whatever toxic amplification gives us. Tech amplification gives us. So how much does Tech amplification give? Tech amp will give us 61.3%. Okay, and we know that doesn't show in the window. Why? Because it's going to show here. 0.613. Again, it's not multiplicative. Even Skill Power Modifier shows up here, but it's not multiplicative. Okay, these are all additive. So now we plunk that into the window right here. Okay, we put 61.3%. Excuse me, throat slightly dry. Okay, so and we know it's going to be the same across the board because the only thing we're going to change is power increase, maximize skill, toxic specialist. Now, let's do a nifty little calculation. Okay, we are going to check the actual damage in each of these circumstances, and then we will tabulate the results and see whether or not we get the 43 point, what's the percent? 43.56. Okay, this percentage will automatically update as we input the actual damage. So first I'll remove those values right there. Okay, let's do this now. All right, first and foremost, remove. All right, the first one will be power increase with Technician and Tech Amplification. Let's test that out right away. Okay, here we go. 279,664. 279,664. 279,664. Okay, so here we go. 279,664. Lo and behold, 43.56. Numbers do not lie. Again, now with maximized skill. Sorry, I removed the wrong thing. I moved Technician. My bad. So, once again, maximize skill, toxic amp, Technician, Tech Amp. All right? So here we go. 312,738. 312,738. 312,738. Okay? 312,738. And what is the number? 43. 0.56 once again. Math is never wrong. Okay, there we go. Now, one last one. We're going to change this for Toxic Specialist. Okay, let's put that in there. And then now, we calculate. 261,941. 261,941. 261,941. Okay. Two, 61941. And lo and behold, the percentages are accurate. Not a shred of difference. Now, let's compare. Technician and Tech Amp, if they have any multiplicative factors, should be higher than Focus on Tech and Tech Amp. If we take the Focus on Tech with Tech Amp actual damage, oops, sorry about that. Okay, if we take this actual damage and subtract this actual damage, what's the difference? Or we can do it in reverse and get a negative number. It doesn't really matter. There we are. Lo and behold, 5,524 damage per shot less. Okay, if you use Technician and Tech Amp. Therefore, ladies and gents, when it comes to Skill Power Modifier, you're not looking at any multiplicative factors. You're simply adding them together. That's it. This means that the best bang for your buck when you're looking at Skill Power Modifiers would obviously be to just get as much of it as you possibly can. So usually, Tech Specialist obviously is higher than Focus on Tech, but Focus on Tech, Tech Amp, for the purposes of this exercise, gave the best results. If you guys would like to use something separate in your loadout, please adjust accordingly. Okay, if you adjust accordingly, you should have an easy time. Okay? Basically, just multiply as much as you want and you will be fine. Now, does this Skill Power Modifier actually help in terms of damage and killing? How much does it actually help? Especially because considering the fact that Freyna's Skill Power Modifier is already so high, and you will remember in my video, Skill Power versus Skill Power Modifier, it's much more important to raise Skill Power when the modifier is already high. But I've already got some results for you guys, and you know my calculations are accurate, so rather than showing you, just take my word for it. Okay, here's a little damage table that I've done, right? The total ammo in your ultimate weapon, assuming a perfect build for Freyna's bossing, is going to be 84. You see when I activate my ult right there? 84. Okay? So y'all can see that right there. Now, if we were to bring up the spreadsheet window, bada bing, bada boom. If we were to bring up the spreadsheet window, right? What you're going to see is that the total damage, if you just use skill power alone, okay, now is going to be 244. This, where did we get this? We got this from up here. With Slayer Set and Toxic Amp, okay, I calculated I did 244,079 per shot with power increase, okay? Maximize skill 272,945, and with Toxic Specialist 228,611. So of course, maximize skill is the best, but power increase isn't bad either. Okay, so if we come down here right now and we take these numbers, total ammo 84 multiplied by total damage, okay, you can then see the total damage figure of how much we're doing. With maximized skill, we would do about 22 million. With skill with power increase, we would do about 20 million. Okay, so and Toxic Specialist is not even worth mentioning. So basically, what you have to figure out is if this is with just skill power alone, when you add skill power modifiers, how much does my damage change? Because it is ultimately taking up a precious module slot, you need to figure out if that is going to affect you or not, right? Okay, so if we were to take the numbers from SPM1, what is SPM1? That is the exercise with just focus on tech, so we just use the numbers from here. Okay, 265,729, taken from here. If you scroll down, 265,729. I've done the same for the other two numbers. The total damage with just power increase is going to be 22 million. With maximized skill, 24 million, almost 25 million. And with Toxic Specialist, roughly 21 million. Okay? So the difference is that you're getting about a 1.8 million difference with power increase when you just use focus on tech. If you were to just use, say, just as an example, if you were to use both focus on tech and tech amplification, basically you would deal 23, well, close to 24 million with power increase, 26.7 million, all right, with maximized skill, and 22.4 million with toxic specialist. The difference would then be about 3.4 million for power increase, 3.8 million for maximized skill, and 3.2 million for toxic specialist. So for 2 extra module slots, you are getting roughly a 3.4 million damage increase. Is this worthwhile? That's the question you guys will have to test and ask for yourself. Okay? Skill power modifiers are not quite as important as skill power. However, if you need to beat a particular boss and you know that you're just short of a little bit of damage, the skill power modifier should help you to cross that. Okay? And because they're additive, just add the highest number in there that you can, and you're pretty much good to go. That is it for my lesson on Skill Power Modifier. I hope this helps you guys, especially those of you guys looking to make your own builds and things like that. Please remember that the core concept is that Skill Power Modifier is additive. We've shown you the math. We've shown the proof. Everything is in this video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys will enjoy the content, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right? More is coming soon. Enjoy.